Hey everybody, this is Valencia and welcome to my channel Balloons in Business, where I show you the business of balloon and event decor. So today I'm going to show you how I made this standalone balloon garland from beginning to end. I'm going to show you how I made the stand and how I made the balloon garland itself. Standalone balloon garlands are perfect for when you're dealing with difficult surfaces like stucco and brick and you're not sure if the balloon garland is going to attach to those surfaces. They're also great for venues where they do not allow you to attach anything to the walls. So if you want to see how I made this, just stay tuned. Okay, so real quick, I got this plywood board from Home Depot. It says 15 by 32 inch thick, and it's BC plywood. And it came, this is a 2 by 2 foot. And I went and got this here floor flange. It comes in a pack of 2. So I got this floor flange. This is a 1/2 inch floor flange, and I just drilled it onto the board right here. I have this galvanized 1/2 inch metal pipe. You can get this in the, I believe, the electrical section. So it's 1/2 inch diameter galvanized steel pipe, and this is 4 feet, so 48 inches. But they have different lengths. They have 3 feet, 2 feet. They have 5 feet, 6 feet. So you can choose how tall you want to make it. I got the 4 feet, and so basically I'm just going to screw it into this hole right here. So it's not going to take up the entire, screwed portion of the pipe, but you're going to keep turning it until you can't turn it anymore. So it's in there tight. And so you can find these right here in the plumbing section. These are not the regular stiff PVC pipes. These are the flexible PVC pipes. You'll find them on the opposite end of the rigid ones, but in the plumbing aisle. It'll be the same aisle, but all the way at the other side. And this is a 1 inch flexible kind of PVC, and this is 10 feet long. You're just going to put it over the metal pipe. So it's going to take a little bit of elbow grease, but just going to put it all the way over. So let me push it back so you can see how it looks. So since this PVC pipe is more flexible, you can bend it to give it a more curvy shape. That's why I chose this pipe over the regular, more rigid PVC pipe. So I'm just going to blow up my balloons 2 at a time, round them out, and then I'm going to tie them into dupes. Make sure you wrap the neck around 2 times before you tie them so you can keep the air in the balloons, especially if you're going to be blowing your balloons up the night before. So now I'm going to twist my balloons into clusters of 3 dupes or 6 balloons. Make sure you double twist your dupes so that they won't pop out. Okay, so I'm using 3 colors. I'm using the Fashion Matte Pastel Pink. I am using the Fashion Pink. So this is like a darker than the matte pink, as you can see. And then I'm using Tough Texas, Canyon Rose. So Fashion Matte Pastel Pink, Fashion Pink, and Tough Texas Canyon Rose. And I'm using it in 3 sizes, 5 inch, 11 inch, and 18 inch balloons. So a cluster like this is about 1.5 feet or 18 inches. So anybody wants to know, how long you need to make your balloon garland, or you have a specific length you have in mind, you want to know how big these clusters are. This is about 18 inches. Okay. So if I'm doing 10 feet, I'm going to need at least 7 of these clusters. But more than likely, I'm probably going to need 8 to make my balloon garland base, but I will see after I, make my initial balloon garland base if I need to add an extra cluster on there before I start beefing it up. So right now I'm making my balloon garland base. Okay, it's basically the skeleton of my balloon garland, and then I will add extra clusters to thicken it up as desired. So that's how I'm going to do things. That's how I always do my garlands. But I just wanted to explain things a little bit more clearly to you guys on what I mean by balloon garland base. I just mean the skeleton of my balloon garland. I'm covering up my pole with the balloons and then adding some more to make it wider. Okay, so right now I'm doing 7 clusters. I have 3 Canyon Rose clusters and 2 of these matte pinks and the other 2 regular pink, and I'll add as needed. So I'm going to start off with these 262 balloons. These are the stringy balloons that you guys keep talking about. What are the stringy things that you use? They're the stringy balloons that you make balloon animals out of. And I'm just going to tie it together and make a loop, or what I like to call rubber band. You can use real rubber bands. I think these are much more elastic than regular rubber bands. And they come in a pack of 50, and you get these off of balloononline.com, and they're like $3 for a pack. So I have my Canyon Rose color. I'm going to take my band and I'm going to put it around a couple balloons. I'm going to twist it one time and stretch it real good. I'm going to do an ombre effect where it's the darker to lighter. So the next cluster will be the Fashion Pink. And basically, let me get this right so you guys can see. I'm going to take my 260 and I'm going to wrap it around one balloon, two balloons, three balloons. Now, as you can see, it's nice and tight. Okay, so my suggestion is make sure you wrap the 260Q around at least two balloons. Okay, preferably three, but if you can only do two, that's fine. And also make sure if you can try to wrap it around the 11-inch balloons, it's much easier to get more balloons in there rather than the 18-inch balloon. And also for those of you who want to know, I inflate my balloons to about 1.5 to 2 inches less than what its size is. So if it's an 11-inch balloon, I tend to inflate them to about 9.5 to 10 inches. If it's an 18-inch balloon, I tend to inflate it to about 16 and a half inches. For those of you who are curious, if you would like to manipulate the sizes and blow up like some of the 11-inch balloons smaller than others and some of the 18-inch balloons up smaller than others, you can. I've noticed in the past, you don't notice it as much unless like you really underinflate a balloon by like 4 or 5 inches. But if it's blown up between a 9.5 and an 8.5, when you're watching it from afar, you really don't notice it. So that's why I just kind of just blow it up around the same. I don't try to precisely measure it. It's just that's the way it comes out. But if you use different sizes, then you're going to get an organic look whether you're blowing them up to different sizes or not. So now I'm going to add my matte pink color. So I'm wrapping this around two balloons in the Fashion Pink. And then I'm just going to take my cluster here. And then I'm wrapping it around one balloon, two balloons, three balloons. Okay? And then you can just maneuver it to make sure it fits in nice and snug. Okay? So this is how it looks with the ombre. Very subtle and nice. And so I'm going to keep going until I do 7 clusters. Then I'm going to go out there and measure what it looks like to the pole. If I need another cluster, I'll add another cluster on there before I put it onto the pole. Okay.
So now that I got my balloon garland base finished, I'm just going to slide my balloon garland onto the pole of the stand. So just slide your balloons on there, and as you're sliding them on, start pushing your balloon garland down so that you can fill in gaps and make sure it's touching the bottom of the base plate. And you're going to go all the way up to the top. So I am going to have to add an extra cluster right there at the top. Once you slide on your balloon garland, you're just going to twist 2 balloons in each cluster around the pole to make sure it's nice and secure on the pole. So now I'm going to thicken up my balloon garland by adding clusters of balloons. Now you're going to add them with 260Q balloons, and you can add them 2 at a time like I'm doing right now, or you can add them 1 at a time. Now most of the clusters that I used were clusters of 4 11-inch balloons, as you can see right there. And I just tied one end of a 260Q balloon around the cluster, and then I wrapped the other end around the balloon in the balloon garland, then tied the 260Q into itself, and that's how I added my clusters. Do not be afraid to play around with your clusters and arrange them to the position you want. Notice there's a gap right there in the middle, but I'm going to close it up once I step back and keep rearranging my balloons.
I added my clusters of 4 balloons, 4 11-inch balloons, or 2 dupes. I added dupes on each side at the bottom. Now I'm going to add some more because I want to cover up this base. I added my cluster right here, a cluster of 4 for the Fashion Pink, a cluster of 4 for the Matte Pink, a cluster of 4 for the Canyon Rose, the Fashion Pink, the Matte Pink. I initially added a cluster of 4 right here, but I untwisted one. I like the way this one looked better. A cluster of 4 for the matte and a cluster of 4 for the fashion, okay? I'm going to add probably a couple more balloons at the top. I'm just going to twist in a dupe or 2 so that it'll look a little bit more full at the top. Okay, so I thought I pressed the record button to record this process, but I didn't. So now I'm adding my 5-inch decorators. They are in clusters of 3 balloons. Normally I do them in 4, but today I decided to do 3. And I'm adding them with a 260Q balloon like I do the rest of the clusters. Just wrap it around one balloon in the cluster and tie the 260Q into itself. And look at what a difference these 5-inch decorators make in the overall look of the balloon garland. I always say that they make the balloon garland look more polished and complete. So now I'm just putting some finishing touches. I'm just going to add a couple of 18-inch balloons. I'm adding one right there with the Canyon Rose, and I'll later on add one at the top up there with the pink balloons.
And just a tip that when you do add larger balloons after the fact, like after you've already made your balloon garland base, they tend to stand out and pop out and give a little bit more depth and dimension. So I'm adding a singular 18-inch balloon with a 260Q, and look how it just stands out. And so now I'm using some Mega Shine Balloon Shine. You can get that at Amazon. I'm just going to spray it to give it its shine. Now it's up to you if you want to use balloon shine or not. Sometimes it actually looks better when you don't use a balloon shine because it looks more matte, and that's the look that the client may be going for, but I decided to add some in this case. I'm showing you how I'm putting that other 18-inch balloon right up there with that pink cluster, and see how much more fuller it looks at the top. See how it just pops out when you add it kind of individually. And again, I added that with a 260Q balloon. So here's the finished product to this standalone balloon garland. Now, one thing I will suggest is that you use weights for the bottom of this balloon garland base because you don't want it to fall over, especially if it's outdoors. So make sure you use sufficient weight so you can make sure that this balloon garland is nice and secure. Now, the cool thing about this is I was able to move it around. As you can see, I changed the position of this, which is one of the advantages of doing a standalone balloon garland. So if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, go ahead on and like it, and please subscribe, and you'll get notifications on future videos on balloon and event decor. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.